Welcome to the Offshore Club's fun-filled, fact-filled, fast-paced, blockbuster podcast, Coffee with Carib Carter, coming to you exclusively from where the sun never sets on the good life at a great price. And now, fill up your favorite coffee mug and join your expert and your guide, Carib Carter Clues.
Hello and welcome to what I believe is the fourth episode of Coffee with Carib Carter. And I first of all want to start off like I do every week, thanking you so much for the emails. I'm even getting some phone calls. I appreciate it, and they mean a lot to me. And any questions you have, any queries, any comments, write to me at Carib Carter 7. Carib Carter 7, that's with the 7 number, at gmail.com. Carib Carter 7 at gmail.com, because I love to hear from you, and it really helps me set the pace and set the tone for what we talk about every week. Okay. This week, speaking of the emails, hold on. Let me back myself up here. Speaking of the emails, if you recall last week, I said that email me if you want some Honduran coffee. You know, we're Coffee with Carib Carter, and this is Honduran coffee. I said, I'm going to get some Honduran coffee to show you all how good it is. Email me. I'm going to select someone at random to get that I'm going to send the Honduran coffee to. So here's the Honduran coffee. You'll notice, let me see if I can get this. It is our own house brand, Carib Carter Cadre. You are the cadre, and this is the coffee, Honduran coffee. And we have a winner. We have a winner. Albie from Westminster, Maryland is going to get this bag right here of Carib Carter Cadre coffee. And I have plenty more, so I'm making the offer again. Email me at caribcarter7 at gmail.com, and I will again pick a random email at random. Make sure you say your address. Say, Carter, I want the coffee. Here's my address. And I will send you your bag of coffee next week if you are the lucky winner. And it is delicious coffee. I mean, it really is. And it is what I am drinking right now. See? Good. That is good coffee. So we have a winner from last week. Let's have a winner from this week. Let me hear from you. Now let's plunge right in. Let's do this thing. I always like to start off telling you about a day in the life. I'm going to truncate it a little here now because today we have a really special guest. Let me billboarding for a second here, okay? We have a special guest, one of, I'm going to say all this when I introduce him later, but let me just touch on it now. One of the most brilliant, wonderful guys I've ever known, like a brother to me, a gentleman named Dan Taylor. Lives on Roatán Island, has for almost 20 years. He'll tell you about all that. I worked with Dan, did some marketing for him. I lived on Roatán for 6 months and worked with Dan, and he built Keyhole Bay, which is the most beautiful residential resort community in the Caribbean, probably. Marriott said it was. I mean, we'll go into all this with him later, but look forward to that because it's coming later in the show. All right. You know, where we do our friends and family, potpourri, I'm going to interview Dan Taylor for you, and you're going to love this guy. And you're going to say, I want to go move to Roatán and become Dan Taylor's neighbor. I am guaranteeing you're going to say that. Okay. Because that's how great a guy is. And when he describes Roatán, you're going to say, that's where I need to be. What am I doing here? I need to be there. So you have that to look forward to, and you're going to like it a lot. I always talk about a day in the life, but I'm going to rush right through that now because I've told you about eating the husk on the tamale, the chicken bus, Mr. Gecko's visit from Mr. Gecko. But actually, one of the things that I enjoyed most when I was down there during the winter, and I remember I was outside of La Ceiba, and during the winter, they have the rainy season, okay, for the couple months in the winter. Now, when I say rainy, I'm not talking about, there's a sprinkle here and there. Looks like you might have a rainstorm today. I'm talking about a deluge, okay? It was like every day at 3 o'clock. It was like the streets became, this came down. It was literally like, I knew how Noah felt every day at 3 o'clock. Remember one day I was walking from the mall, beautiful mall in La Ceiba, up to the coffee shop when the deluge hit. it was so, the rain was so heavy. It was soon almost up to my knees in the, along the street. I guess they don't have the greatest drainage in the world on the Saba. Obviously, it was not a priority. But it soaked through my backpack so bad it destroyed, it drowned my computer. It drowned my computer. But I got there to the coffee shop, and that's when I'll tell you, after that, I would make it a point to be in the coffee shop before the monsoon hit, and just to sit there and sip that delicious Honduran coffee, some of the pastries there, the postres, and look out and very cozy, very cozy. I would go to the Cafeto, it was called, in the Mazapan section of La Ceiba, and just sit and sip coffee, talk to some of the locals who would be in there sipping coffee as well, looking out through the big windows at the rain coming down. And it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And throughout the season, as I say, it's like a 3-month season. Whenever I could, I'd just sit there for maybe an hour, until while the rain came through and then left again, the Caribbean rain, and just enjoy the ambiance. And I urge you to look forward to doing the same thing. Okay. Look forward to doing the same thing. Going down there. Remember, when you get to the Caribbean, it's island life, whether you're on an island or, you're on the mainland as I was. It's the Caribbean way of life, Remember, I think I told you early on, and when you live in the Caribbean, when you live in Central America, mañana is a term of urgency, okay? So there is no rush. And that is something that I know you're going to enjoy just the way I did. So it's something to look forward to. Now, it frequently asked question every week, and I know I'm rushing through this because I want to spend as much time with Dan as possible. And we only talk for 30 minutes to 40 minutes here. So I don't want to cut into that. But the frequently asked question, and one of the questions I'm asked most frequently, especially by people who more and more now are saying to me, "Okay, Carter, I'm going down. I'm gonna do it. What's the most difficult thing that what is the most difficult? What was the most difficult adjustment for you?" So, if I may, let me change the question a little bit. I'd rather say what was the most unique adjustment, because remember, I lived on Roatán Island, plus I lived on the mainland. 6 months on Roatán Island, about a year on the mainland. On Roatán Island, the most unique adjustment was jogging on white sand beach and looking to looking to the side and counting the starfish. Day after day, I would jog down to the beach and I would jog along the beach and look out and count the starfish, and occasionally the man of war that would swim by through the water, because remember, the water is crystal clear and it's beautiful. When you're done your jog, you can wait out and cool off. Counting starfish. How often do you get to do that in your life? If you're down there every day, okay? Whether it's in Roatán, out on the islands, or somewhere beachfront like El Porvenir on the mainland, not far from where I lived, or Trujillo, in Nicaragua, Corn Island, all these. That's the most unique thing when I was on the island. Now on the mainland, I would say, what was most unique was plug-in shower heads. I don't know whether any of you have, I don't know whether you have ever used a plug-in shower head, but the shower head, it looks just like your shower head, except there's a wire comes down and you plug it into a socket in the wall, and a little thing that you can move to hot water from cold, which I don't like, to warm to hot. I usually stayed at warm, and believe it or not, it really does make the water warm or hot when it's just coming through the shower head. So now most Hondurans just use cold water, but I'm not into that. But that was the most unique, because the whole time I'm showering, I'm thinking, I know I'm getting clean, but am I also going to get electrocuted, right? Well, you're not going to get electrocuted. And the fact is, more and more of the homes now have the separate water heating system, but still a lot of them, I think it was $25 for the shower head. You screw it on and you plug it in, and it heats the water coming through there just as hot as you would ever want it. And I think those were the things I found the most unique of the frequently asked questions. When people say what was the most difficult, I want to say unique. That was the most unique. The Mad Max report. Most of the show is devoted to. Somebody said the other day, Carter, it's kind of like happy talk. Well, I'm happy about telling you to move there, to do it, because I know you're going to be happy there. That's the whole point of it, because I know you're going to be happy there. So it is a lot of happy talk. The Mad Max report is the reason you need to leave, okay? And instead of, I wrote, here's my column. I write a column for the Gazette, the Offshore Club Gazette. And for those of you who don't know, who are new, the Coffee with Carib Carter is brought to you by Offshore Club, of which I'm fortunate enough to be the president. And I write about twice a week. I write a column. This one is the name of this column, and I was going to read it to you, but we don't have time. So I'm going to ask you to go to Offshore Club and read it, because I think it's important to you. It is today's this week's Mad Max report. Those of you know Mad Max, I'm telling you, this country is headed to Mad Max territory, okay? This column is called Waiting for Godot. Waiting for Godot. Now, some of you, I'll make this brief. Let me summarize it, if I may. That, those of you who are familiar with Beckett's play Waiting for Godot, I always found it kind of a boring read, but it's not long, so I wasn't bored for long. But it's the story of these two guys, Vladimir and Estragon, who every day wait under a tree for Godot. And others come up to them and talk to them while they're waiting for Godot, and the others come and go, Pozo and Lucky and all these people. And every once in a while, a young man comes and tells him, Godot's not coming today. Godot is not coming today. But they still wait for Godot. And the whole play is about that. They're waiting for Godot. We never know who Godot is. We simply know they're waiting for him. And at the end, Godot never comes. Okay? Folks, if you're waiting for this country to come back to what it was before the politicians' COVID hoax, you're waiting for Godot. You're waiting for Godot. It's not coming back. It's not coming back. They're not going to, the politicians never give up power once they seize it. And as I say in my piece, I worked with these people 40 years in Washington. As I say in my piece, I worked in the darkest, dankest depths of the swamp, which to the politicians was the dizzying heights. That's how different they are from you. Okay, they like this kind of ugly power grab. And they're not going to let you go to the baseball games again. They're not going to let you be free to breathe again, because they're not going to let you congregate ever again the way you did. What did Newsom, the governor of California, say? This is a new normal, so just get used to it. I don't think so. I don't think so. It's not the new normal south of the border. That's where you can create your own new world. Tennyson said, seek a newer world. Well, it's there. And the column ends with, I sincerely, and I'll just read this 2 short paragraphs to you, if I may. I sincerely encourage you to leave the tree. Forget about being visited by old Pozo and Lucky and the others, and the boy telling you Godot's not coming today. Otherwise, this is the final paragraph. Otherwise, I fear you will one day echo the words of poor Vladimir in Waiting for Godot, who at the end says, tomorrow, when I wake or think I do, what shall I say of today? That with Estragon, my friend, at this place, under the tree, until the fall of night, all I did was wait for Godot. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to do that. That's why the Mad Max report today is simply encouraging you, you know, don't wait for the dough. Don't wait for the dough. $1,000 listing every day. Let's get back to happy now. Okay. Let's get back to happy. And I appreciate your bearing with me while I issue those words of warning that come straight from the heart. They come straight from the heart. And that's why I do it. Okay. Let's move back to the good news. The good news is every episode of Coffee with Carib Carter, I do your $1,000 listing Caribbean, taken after $1 million listing New York with Ryan Serhant, but there's a lot cheaper down there. And this week, I want to tell you about. We're going to be talking with Dan Taylor from Roatán. Let me tell you about a $1,000 listing in Roatán. Okay, on the island is a. Let me pull it up here because I want to make sure you don't miss it. And I've talked with the lady who owns it. If you go to Vivian, I always tell you go to viviun.com, Vivian, vivian.com, and go to up in the little right-hand corner. There's a little box. You type in what you want to look at. Type in AD 278939. AD 278939. It's going to take you to an ad for on Roatán Island, fine jewelry and upscale home decor for sale in West Bay Beach, Roatán, Honduras. Okay. So this is what you have here is a chance to move to the island, Roatán Island, and have your own jewelry store. An established business. This business has been up and running for 20 years. I'm gonna get to one of the best parts in just a minute. Penny Lee owns it, and wonderful person. I corresponded with her, talked with her. Great person to talk to. I don't know how much longer it's going to be on the market. It's been a couple of weeks now. She told me she already has some interest, but you're talking about a $85,000 to $95,000 total to buy the entire stock, okay, which is valued at almost $120,000, okay? So it's everything. You're getting your own jewelry store. The rent, I think she said the rental of the store itself, which is right on the strip on Roatán Island, okay? You know, it's where the cruise ships, you know, the people from the cruise ships come in. So you have to continuing flow of customers, and she's made a very good living over for years. I've been doing it 20 years. I want to relax and enjoy the island more. I don't want to work every day. Understandable, right? So, and she'll take 50% down and finance the rest for you. So this is a chance now. And on top of that, I think you can probably buy the space that the jewelry store's in for just another $125,000, I think she said. So we're talking about, tremendous opportunity, in the $1,000 listing Caribbean for around $200,000, your own business on Roatán Island, which is paradise. You're going to hear more about that in just shortly. And you've got it. You've got everything there. Totally set up. You walk in, turn the key, and you're in business. And you'll have a friend there too. Penny's going to still live there. Plus, the gentleman you're going to meet in just a minute, Dan Taylor, will be there. So that's your $1,000 lifting. I think it's a great deal. Go to Vivian, VIVIUN.com. I don't work for Vivian. It just happens to be, I bought a home through it 10 years ago. That's how I found out about it. Type in a little box up in the right-hand corner, AD 278939, and check this out yourself. I don't get any commission, anything. What I get is that you, as one of Carib Carter's cadre, gets to live the good life at a great price in the Caribbean. That's it. And maybe when I get there, you can give me a discount on some jewelry for my wife. What do you think? So that's it. That's your $1,000 listing Caribbean. And now I want to introduce the gentleman that I've kept telling you about, Dan Taylor. One of my favorite people on the face of the earth. And I think by the end of this interview, he's going to be one of yours too. So let me introduce Dan Taylor.
Well, that's a great introduction, Carter. Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun to be able to chat with you again.
Well, as a gentleman you and I have discussed many times, Henry Kissinger once said, it has the added advantage of being true.
That's right? A fact. That's a fact. I've got to apologize. You caught me in the middle of a Sunday afternoon workout. It's been a little bit chilly here, so I'm in my long john upper T-shirt, but I don't have the pretty backdrop that you do. But no. The brain is still functioning.
What is it when you say it's chilly on Roatán Island, folks? Dan is on Roatán Island, as near to paradise as you can get on the face of this earth. When you say chilly on Roatán Island, what does that mean, Dan?
It means that it got cold enough last night that I wore socks to bed, and have for the last 3 nights. And I'm in the middle of a workout in long johns on my upper, and I think it got down to 77.
You know, I've told our viewers before that when it gets to be 80 degrees here, my wife starts saying, "Oh, more, it's muy frío. It's muy frío. It's very cold." Let me. Tell us, how long have you been on Roatán Island, Dan?
You know, I've been here longer than I've been anywhere in my entire life, to be quite honest. We've been here 18 years. We moved here in 2003, came in 2002, decided that this is a place that we'd like to try retiring, and have just had a blast, and never have found a reason to leave.
It's amazing. And you say that as someone who's you were in the military, traveled all over the world. So how many countries have you lived in?
I think that the number's 14. I think that I lived in 14 countries, living meaning in excess of 6 months or 7 months, enough to unpack and get comfortable. And I think that my wife and I lived in probably 14 states together.
All right.
And when we left, I spent a bunch of my adult life as a traveling engineer, and before that in the military, and traveled around a good bit, and said, I want to live someplace that doesn't get real hot like it did in the northern part of Africa, and didn't want to get someplace that was real cold like it was on the horse ranch in Montana,
right,
and where I was raised. And we tried living in the Alleghenies outside of Pittsburgh, and it was just too gray and cold and snowy there. And we lived in North Florida, and we lived in a bunch of places, and then said, let's try living offshore and let's start looking around. And we looked at, I'm going to make up a number here, probably 113 places. Now, this is 20 years ago. This is before the internet as we now know it. We had to do research in libraries and things. And we made I'll call it a wish list, what things are important to us. And then made a little algorithm of what's more important, weather or religion or access to the arts or schools or, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then compared places that we thought we might like to live. One of the things that was real important to us is we both had elderly parents that were alive, and we didn't want to live so far away that if somebody got sick and we had to get back to the States in a hurry, that it would take a long time to do that. And that focused us a little bit towards the Americas, as opposed to some places in the Mediterranean or some places in the South Pacific that are a little harder to get to. We went to the Marshall Islands, and we went to a bunch of places, and we ended up visiting 14 places. I guess, yeah, we visited 14 places, and decided that the Bay Islands were real conducive to what were the things that were important to us. And we're, what, 2.5 hours nonstop from Miami, so it was easy to get back to the States whenever we needed to.
Right. So when you say the Bay Islands, for those who are not familiar with the lay of the land down south of the border, there are 3 Bay Islands. I think, right? Utila, Granaha, is that right? And
Guanaja.
Granaha.
That's correct.
And Roatán was
no R.
What'd you say?
No R. Guanaja.
One. Well, I'll stick with Roatán. Roatán was the.
That's right.
Roatán is about what, 40 square miles? Is that right?
Probably a little bit more than that. But it's a long, thin, banana-shaped island, and
Honduras.
Let me use an analogy.
Okay.
In Honduras, there are 18 departments that are in the States. You would call those in the U.S. You'd call those states. We have 18 states or departments here. In the U.S., you have one state that is the Hawaiian Islands, and it's a group of islands that is its own state. And here, Honduras has that same thing. It's called the Bay Islands.
Okay.
And the Bay Islands is made up of a bunch of smaller islands, and that's where we get to live. It's about 26 miles off the coast of Honduras.
And it is, I was fortunate enough to be there for about 6 months with Dan. And I'm telling you, folks, when I say it's as near as you can get to heaven on earth, it really is. So you went there, and out of all these places you surveyed, and folks, Dan is former military, one of the most meticulous people I know. So I can assure you he did all his homework worldwide. And tell us some of what attracted you to Roatán. So other people will know, folks, you need to go there too. Go ahead, Dan.
There's a lot of things, but there were a couple of them that really were important to me. I talked about the weather. I was raised in Montana where it was real cold, and I didn't like that. Here, the average high in the winter is 82. The average high in the summer is 87.
Wow.
And so we don't have extremes of hot and cold. That's important. But one of the things that was really impressive that still sticks with me today, when you travel around, you look at places and you do a gut check. Does this place feel safe? Does this place feel good to me? And my wife's better at gut checks than I am. She really is. But one of the things that was really impressive to me, you drive down the road and the kids are walking to school in their uniforms, little white blouses and white shirts and dark skirts and dark slacks. And there's no adults with them. There's nobody bothering kids. There's nobody stealing kids. Kids are safe to go to school or go play or go do what. And I think that most of the world values kids, probably more than I do. But the parents, if they thought that their kids weren't safe, would be walking with them and taking them to the bus or taking them to school. And we saw kids just going. And I said, if it's safe enough for people to trust their kids out alone, it's safe enough for this old guy. So that was probably one of the big things, that the feeling of security. And to this day, there's not a place on the island, day or night, middle of the night, that my wife and I, she doesn't run around out in the middle of the night as much as I do. I have businesses that take me out in the middle of the night, service-related businesses, where we have clients that break a water pipe or do something, and I end up out at night. But there's no place that I can't go. And I don't know how much of that. I mean, I'm not foolish enough to think that a guy couldn't get himself into trouble if he really wanted to or really worked at it. But I don't know of a place that I'm not safe, and that's important to me.
Which is vitally important. So you have the safety and you have the beauty, the raw beauty of Roatán Island, the beaches, the white sand beaches, the rainforest, or the beach. Now, I haven't been there for a couple of years. I assume the beaches are still pristine and beautiful.
They are, and we were real fortunate to be able to build a house on a little thumb looking the length of the island. And so the end of both floors of our house are glass, and we get to look out less at the beach, but at the shore, and just look at the full length of the island. I like being a little bit farther away from the beach myself, because the salt spray and the other things that you get right on the beach are a little bit cause you have to wash the windows a little more often. Right. And the views are really great up on the hill looking out at the ocean, and that.
It's just stunning. Now I should tell our viewers that when I first met Dan, he was building a residential resort community called Keyhole Bay. And several things struck me. One, the remarkable beauty of the area he chose to build Keyhole Bay on, and also the sheer genius of this man. I mean, I remember one time saying to Dan, folks, Dan engineered this entire community. I mean, and one day there would be a flat area here and a mountain over there, and the next day the mountain would be here and the flat. And I told him, you are the only man that I personally have ever met who really does move mountains. And you did that with Tell us a little bit about Keyhole Bay. I think, now, if I'm not mistaken, Marriott said it was the most beautiful, luxurious residential resort community in the Caribbean at one time, right? When you put
small residential, yes, it was. When we were the Marriott business development folks asked me to talk to them about converting it to sell it and use it as a Marriott property. And I had a vision that kept it a little bit. It wasn't economically feasible for them. My vision was to have fewer doors and have some real nice homes and real nice condos that people from the US and Canada who had paid their dues, worked hard, been able to put a little bit of money away, and were in the position to have a nice home, a nice condo, had a nice place where they could feel comfortable. And that what didn't really align itself well with what Marriott does as their business model. And they were appreciative of the attention to detail that we had managed to put together. The team that we had was first rate, and starting with the master planners, Edward D. Stone and Associates, the people that did Atlantis in the Bahamas and did the master planning for the Rome Airport and for the greater Fort Lauderdale area. Just brilliant master planners. They did the master planning for us here as well. So we had a real good, strong foundation to start with.
And watching Dan put this together, folks, if you get a chance to Google it, Keyhole Bay, you're just going to be stunned at the beauty of it. And I watched him, and it was so meticulous. I remember, him. I remember one day they were going to build on a certain piece of land, and he had I don't even know what these damn things are called. Some big machine with the big metal roller on the front. And Dan explained to me, now, Carter, that will roll across that land 27 times. And I said, well, why not 23? Why not 29? And he said, because 27 is the number of times that, what was it? Some earth, what's a machine? That was a tractor of some sort.
It's a roller compactor.
A roller compactor, 27, is the number of times it must roll to compact the earth in order to be built on. And I'm like, nobody could be this meticulous, but he was. So you took it was kind of like the yogi and the Kamazar. You had this guy who was meticulous about every little detail. You know, how high to fill the concrete blocks before you put the other block on, and he can explain all that. And on top of it, a visionary who was the yogi building this beautiful, beautiful residential resort. Dan, it stands, you know, it is a, if anybody ever built a monument, you know, I know that wasn't your intention, but it certainly is that. It certainly is remarkable, just remarkable. And he did I was doing marketing. He did a much better job of building than I did marketing.
Well, you're very flattering, Carter, and I appreciate the nice things that you're saying. And I do have a reputation for being a bit meticulous, which has served me as I've grown other companies since that time, because that's the things that people hire me to do, is to pay attention to details for them.
Tell us, what's a typical day for you on Roatán Island? What's it like living there?
Boy, Carter, I'll tell you what. I failed at retirement 3 times before I got to the island. And it took me a while to figure out that the reason that I was having a problem is my definition of retirement was skewed. I thought that what I needed to do was learn how to enjoy playing golf, and to learn how to fish more, and to do some of those things that I had to work at trying to enjoy. But once and we have a real nice Pete Dye golf course here. We have a nice municipal course. It's not municipal. It's a par 3 9-hole course that's challenging. We have fantastic fishing. We have fishing tournaments that are catch and release, but that's just not what really excites me. I enjoy building companies, building staffs, helping develop people to operate those companies. And I would say that this is a lifestyle. I found a lifestyle here that allows me to contribute a little bit and impact a lot. For example, if I were to go give $57 to any person, charity, anything in North America, that $57 wouldn't buy very much. But here, an example might be, you know, when the Goodwill or some of these companies that buy used or that get donated used clothing, they turn that used clothing over and they sell it in their stores. And then what they don't sell, they sell for rags. And they sell those offshore, and people buy those bags of rags. But those bags of rags are clothes. And people segregate those into kids' clothes and women's clothes and men's clothes. And for $57, I can buy 2 bags of kids' clothes, and we're talking the equivalent of 200 pounds of potatoes, if you would. I mean, we're talking a 5-pound tall bag. And for that, I can give that to a family, and they can outfit their kids in clothes. They can sell clothes to their neighbors. They can take these clothes, they can have a small business, and they can pay me back the $57, and I can go buy another bag of clothes for them. And I can have an impact on a bunch of people's lives for a little tiny bit of money. And it's really nice. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back saying, oh, look, I'm helping somebody. But what I'm saying is if a person wants to get involved without being having great big pockets. There's a great opportunity to contribute here in 100, I don't want to say 1,000, in 100 different ways, depending on whether you want to help starving artists figure out how to market their products, to small businesses, there's just a lot of ways to make yourself useful. And I really like that.
Dan, that's perfectly said. Perfectly said. And essentially, Roatán's a place where you can do good while you're doing well, which is fantastic. And you have done it. And I thank you. I thank you for coming on the Coffee with Carib Carter today. I thank you for being a man that I've admired now for almost 2 decades and a dear friend and brother. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. And I look forward to you joining me in the gym again and whipping my butt as you always do. The doors are open. Come back anytime, pal.
I'll do it. Thank you. Okay. Wow. I told you that you were going to enjoy that interview. I told you were going to love Dan Taylor, just one of life's good guys. And now you know I was telling you the truth, right? And now you know you have a friend on Roatán Island, and he has a lot of businesses, so you can probably find a job there with Dan Taylor if you want one, unless you buy Penny Lee's jewelry store. So you have some options now, right? You have some options, and I want you to make the move. We always finish with what the segment we call "Let's Do This Thing." It's going to be a little unique this time because, you know, some of you know, I may have mentioned before, I'm a minister. So my father was a Methodist minister, 53 years, and I want to tell you a little story that really illustrates one of the main reasons I think some of you, particularly those of you who might be nearing my age, probably aren't many of you nearing my age, but even a third my 2/3 my age, might say you want to make this move. It's not just for yourself, for others. There's a great story told by D.L. Moody. Okay, those of you who are religious probably know who D.L. Moody was. Those who aren't, he was like the Billy Graham of the late 1800s, early 1900s, and he told a story of a ship off the coast of Cleveland. Now, remember, you're talking a long time ago, coming into port. And the captain saying to the pilot, "There's something wrong here, because I can see the big light from the spotlight, right, from the lighthouse, but the lower lights are not. I can't see any of the lower lights. There was something wrong, some sort of outage, right?" And the pilot said, "Well, maybe we can still make it." And he tried to guide it in, but without the lower lights to help guide him into port, the lighthouse wasn't enough, and the ship foundered and it crashed. Okay, and there was a gentleman who heard the story from Dwight L. Moody, a true story, who then wrote a song. The songwriter, some of you already who do know the story, who are churchgoers, are saying, "Oh yeah, I know who you're going to say." A fellow named Philip Bliss, a well-known songwriter at the time, he heard that story. He was so struck by it that he wrote a song that brightly beams our Father's mercy from his lighthouse evermore. But to us he trusts the keeping of the lights upon the shore. And then the chorus was, "Let the lower lights be burning, send a gleam across the way. Some for poor fainting, struggling seaman, you may rescue, you may save." Part of what we're doing here, for those of you who are older, perhaps grandparents, parents, or even for your nieces and nephews, for your children, grandchildren, this moving to Central America now, getting ahead of the wave, getting down there and setting up in a country where your children and grandchildren, nephews can be as free as we once were here. Going to ball games, being able to go to the store, the mall, all these things that we once loved here and now have lost, that you can have all those down there, not for yourself, because we've all enjoyed them, we had, but for those who come after you, those for whom you now by making this move in a selfless way, perhaps a selfless way, even though I think you're going to enjoy it a lot too. In a selfless way, you're letting the lower lights be burning. Okay? That's the message here. That's the message I want to close with. Let the lower lights be burning. Let the lower lights be burning for all those around you who come after you. Let's do this thing. Thanks for joining me.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us at the Offshore Club. For more information on the Offshore Club or to contact Carib Carter, visit www.offshore.club today. www.offshore.club. That's www.offshore.club. See you next time at the Offshore Club.